Let's get straight to it. Your thinking sucks. And I don't just say that to offend you. I say that because I lived it. For 3 years, I was struggling. And right now, if you're struggling, I understand it. But I'm telling you right now, the only reason people struggle is because of their thinking. The truth is, your thinking isn't just holding you back. It is literally costing you millions and millions of dollars, so many opportunities, and so much momentum. You don't have a strategy problem, you have a mindset problem. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 thought patterns that are silently sabotaging your success and how to rewire them so you can finally break through. Number 1, you overthink instead of decide. Now, what are you thinking when I say that? Are you always hesitating? Are you always waiting for the perfect moment? Well, understand, when you analyze every decision and you wait for the perfect timing, then you do nothing. I want to be direct because this video will literally change the rest of your life if you implement this. Overthinking is the ego's disguise for fear. It's always wanting you to wait for the perfect moment. It's always comparing to other people. It's comparing you to your past. It makes you feel productive because I'm really working at this. I'm grinding my way to success. But that isn't how you create success. You may feel productive, but productivity could be the exact enemy of execution. Now think about that for a second. A lot of people feel they're productive because they work so many hours a day. But the results tell us the truth. The results will always tell you exactly how productive you are. Success doesn't reward perfection, it rewards action. Action is the most important thing that you and I do every single day. Stop asking what's the best move and start saying to yourself, what is the next move I can act on right now? Your power always lies in the doing. I love this quote from Emerson. He says, the doing gives you the power. He doesn't say analyzing, overthinking gives you the power. So I want you to get in the habit of doing it now. Start acting before you're ready. That's going to be an absolute game changer. Now, I want you to take an honest look at your results right now. What are your results? I remember years ago when I was first deciding that my way is not working. And right now, you may be like me, where your way is not working. You don't know what else to do. And I had such a great mentor in my life in Bob Proctor. And he said, Arash, I want you to look at your results. That tells you exactly what you know. And I said, I have been studying this for 3 years, and there's so many things that I could tell you. He says, it doesn't matter what you could tell me, it matters what you could show me. And what he did was change my whole mindset about my results. It didn't matter how much knowledge I had. Knowledge isn't power, the implementation is power. So I want you to look at your results right now. That tells you all you need to know about your thinking. I don't want you to run from your results. I want you to sprint towards them, and I want you to leverage them. And maybe right now, your way isn't working. If you're not crushing it, if you are just settling, trust me, your way is not working. Don't run from your results. Look at them straight in the eye and say, is this what I want for myself? Are you thinking right now, there's got to be more? There's got to be more experiences. There's got to be more to this life than just grinding. Well, you are 100% accurate. There is a lot more. But the first thing we have to do is we have to eliminate the patterns that are keeping you in this cycle of doom of letting the results dictate your thinking. In order to do this, you have to decide. You have to go all in. Right now, if you're watching this and you're 90% in, you're 100% out. Now, I don't make the rules, but when you go all in, you are coming with a convicted energy, and that's when the universe responds and will bring everything in your path when you put all your chips on the table and go all in. Now, you know what the interesting thing about all in is most people don't even know what that means. They've never done it. They're always holding back. They're always hesitating. But I want you to be a player in your life. Burn your bridges. I want you to think, what do I want more than anything? And I want you to commit to yourself. Forget about how it's going to happen, but I want you to commit to yourself right now that over the next 6 months, you're going to create the very best 6 months of your life. and you're going to go all in. You're going to embrace failure. You're going to constantly be more motivated and more disciplined than you've ever been because you have a want that is so strong that it really means something to you. So you are putting your heart into it. Now, I want to show you how important decision is and what is keeping you stuck and what you're really deciding right now. I want you to understand, I want you to think in your mind about what do you really want? What you want more than anything else. That might be financial freedom. You may want to find the partner of your dreams. You want to get in the best shape. You may want to 5x your income. Whatever it is, I want you to put it in your mind. Right now, where you are to where you want to be, the only thing we have to do is change your thinking. Change how you see yourself. Now, most people, and this is where people get stuck, every thought they have, even though they have a big goal to 5x their income, to 10x their income, to double their income, they think the same thoughts from their current results. So when you keep thinking the same thoughts, you have the same feelings, you have the same actions, and it's the fulfilling cycle of doom. You keep creating the same results over and over again. I want you to pay attention really closely about what I'm going to share over the next few minutes because it is a game changer. You have a goal, but unless you make an irrevocable, committed decision, this is where I'm going. I am tripling my income over the next 6 months. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I am going all in. When you do that, you literally knock down the wall that you keep hitting of going to your old self and having the same thoughts, the same actions, creating the same results. So what you have to eliminate right now is stop making decisions from your current results. I want to say this again. Stop letting your current results dictate who you are, what you're capable of, and what actions you take. Every time you make your decisions from your current results, guess what happens? You always attract what you've always attracted, the same results over and over again because you're letting the old you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Now, so what happens is your mind and thoughts are down on the frequency of what is your baseline, what is your current programming, and we have to change that. Now, thinking is the hardest thing in the world, but it's the most important thing. Thinking is the prequel to your results. Now, I want you to understand this. When you think in a certain way, that way is going to dictate your results. But are you at a point right now that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired? I would love for you to comment in the chat. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I really want you to put it in because I want you to really signify to yourself, I'm done living the old way. I'm done settling. Average is not good enough for me anymore. I'm going to create a world-class life. I want you to put it in the chat right now. Your goal is on a completely different frequency. And if you have a worthy goal, you have a big goal that you don't know how in the world you're going to achieve. The critical key is now you've got to think like you've already achieved that goal. So going back to decision, the biggest cheat code is make every decision from the person who already has achieved your goal. And it's so easy to look at. Go research people who have already achieved it. Come study me closely. Watch all my YouTube videos and just model my thinking. Just model my frameworks and you're going to jump frequency. It is literally the biggest cheat code. But in order to do this, you have to go back and put all your chips on the table and go all in regardless of the appearances, regardless of your past, regardless of where you're currently struggling. When you make a decision, you literally open so many doors in your life. But what happens is when you make that decision, you will start automatically thinking and acting like the person you want to become. Now, you're watching this, you're saying, well, if it happens automatically, how come I've never done it before? Because you've never made the decision. Everything's always been a wish or a hope. It's been overanalyzing. It's constantly diarrhea of the mouth. You keep thinking and giving yourself outs and giving yourself excuses. When you make a decision and every day is day one and you just focus on transforming you, that today is going to be the best day of my life. I'm going to think and act like the person I want to become. Now, let's get the want back in your mind. This is why this video is probably the most important video that you could watch. And you want to watch it to the end because I'm just getting started. But I will tell you, when I want you to think of your want. Let's use my example of somebody doubling their income. Now, in order to double your income, you have to think like the person who's already doubled their income. How do they think? They're always looking at the next move. They're looking at eliminating their negative patterns. What are your negative patterns? And I want you to eliminate them. Now, I want you to really think, what is the person who's doubled their income? They're disciplined, so I'm going to be disciplined. They have high standards, so I'm going to have high standards. They make decisions that are bold. Abundance demands us to be bold. This is thinking and acting like that person. And when you do that, everything changes. But understand this, knowing how is the worst thing. If you already knew the how, then you didn't have a big enough goal. Your want is what creates abundance. Want is the only prerequisite for making a decision. What do you really want? You know, this takes me back years. I remember one of my first conversations with my mentor. He said, Arash, what do you really want? And I said, I'm not really sure. And he got really stern with me. And he said, it is your job to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, how in the hell do you think you're going to get better? Those were his exact words. And meekly, I said, I want to create a life of freedom. And he said, so you do know what you want? And I said, well, is freedom a goal? He said, it is a great goal. And he said, now I want to teach you how to do it, but we're going to have to change your thinking. That's why in the beginning I said, your thinking sucks, but nobody can understand it better than me. Well, when I committed to that want, I fell in love with the idea. It just started percolating in every cell of my being, and all I could think of was freedom. So when I committed to that want of creating freedom, it became a love story for me. It became an obsession. That's what I want your want to be. I don't want it to be a wish or a hope. I want it to be an obsession. I want you to dedicate your life to it because wherever we put our energy is where we're dedicating our life. And understand, successful people make decisions fast and change them slow if they change them at all. And when you start understanding what you want, when you decide today that I'm going to upgrade my thinking, who's ready to upgrade their thinking? Put it in the chat right now, upgrade, if you're ready to upgrade your thinking. Now, have you ever wondered why successful people are automatically so focused, why everything they touch turns to gold, where it looks so effortless? Well, because it's part of their thinking now, it's part of their programming. Well, I want it to be a part of your programming, and that's why you want to stay till the end of this video, because I'm going to show you exactly how to make it part of your programming, but do it effortlessly. I don't want you to grind. I want this just to be an effortless process for you. But when you understand, how do I make a decision? You just decide. You accept the idea. Even if it sounds crazy. Listen, when I told you that I wanted to create freedom, at that moment, I was $150,000 in debt, just lost my job, but all I wanted was freedom. I wanted freedom of choice. Do you want freedom of choice? I wanted freedom of my time. I wanted to spend my time doing what I wanted, whenever I wanted, with whomever I wanted. Well, in that moment, when I decided, and this is your moment, this is the same moment that you have an opportunity right now, is betting on yourself. I decided to bet on myself. You know, I keep talking about my conversation with my mentor because I think stories really make such an impact. And he said, Arash, there's only two people you have to bet on. You have to bet on you and me. Well, I want you to look straight in my eyes. There's only two people you have to bet on. You have to bet on me and you have to bet on you. And it's the best bet in the world. Have the courage to go out and bet on yourself. Ask yourself this question. When was the last time I really bet on myself? Truly. Is anything coming up? I want you to make betting on yourself a habit. I want you to make it part of your identity, and I want to make it your standard. There's no one better to bet on than you. Now, who you're becoming is more important than who you've been. Stop operating from the old you. Start becoming obsessed with transformation. Start becoming obsessed with what's possible. There's so many possibilities. I want you to get obsessed with this idea. Turn your annual income into your monthly income. I share this story often because it had such a deep impact on me that I wanted to have a deep impact on you today. I remember I'm struggling. Put yourself in my shoes. I was in a ton of debt, and I'm in a seminar in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he wasn't my mentor at the time, but my mentor put up this slide, and it says, you could turn your annual income into your monthly income. And then he had another slide that says, you can create your own economy. And I just kept sitting there. I go, is that even possible? Like, some of you may be struggling right now watching this and say, is that possible? Not only is it possible, it happens every day. Every day people have just hit the mark. They've turned their annual income into their monthly income. I want it to be you. Well, I walked out of that seminar and something changed in me. That idea just went inside of me. Now, if I told you I believed I could do it, I'd be lying to you. But for the next 2 weeks, all I kept thinking of, what if it's possible? What are some ideas that would allow me to turn my annual income into my monthly income? Well, what happened for me is my thinking started to change. I started thinking into possibilities. I started thinking much differently than I had ever thought. Now, who is ready to turn their annual income into their monthly income? Now, I want you just to dream with me for a second. Now, if you're ready, type it in the chat. I am ready. I want you to put I am with it. I am ready. Because what I'm going to show you throughout the rest of this video is going to show you the exact framework and the exact strategy to do that. Now, in order to do this, it is so important that you make it a habit to step up and step out of your comfort zone. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. Growth never happens being the old us. It happens by walking into the new us. Now, if I could give you the greatest awareness, and if this is all you get from this video, it will change your life. The greatest awareness is there's nothing missing inside of you. Now, what are you thinking when I say that? If you could get that there's nothing missing inside of me, you're going to walk into the real you, and that's when the unstoppable you gets unleashed. Now, understand, success is about getting better 1% every day. Do you realize that if all you did was focus and define your 1% better, let's say this is your standard. I'm going to improve my standard by 1% every day for the next 6 months. You're going to 17x your standard. What do you think your results are going to be? Then you did that for a year. You're going to 37x your standard. All it is about 1%. Now, I want your goal to drive you. I want it to be so important. I want it to be so deep in your mind where it is always on your mind without you even thinking. That means you've made the decision and you've committed, and guess what? You've changed your thinking. Now let's look at number 2. You think small because you don't trust yourself. Now, do you trust yourself? Look at the goals you set. Even when I said, what do you really want? Did you start thinking of what you think you can achieve, or did you go after in your mind and accept a big idea? Why people think small is because they don't trust themselves. Why they don't trust themselves? Because their whole life they've been conditioned to think small, play it safe, and never rock the boat. I'm doing better than most. Have you heard that before? You're not here to do better than most. This isn't a competition. This is you versus you. And let's be honest, deep down, you don't trust yourself to follow through. Now, I can relate. I didn't trust myself. I would always start and stop. How many of you can relate to that? So you set goals that you know you can hit, and you call it being realistic. Realistic goals is the dumbest idea, and I want you to eliminate that. It takes just as much effort to create big goals as it does small goals. Here's the truth. You will never outperform the standards you set for yourself, and no one creates excellence by settling for average. Start betting on yourself. Start committing to building a kick-ass identity of someone who always finds a way. Your belief is the blueprint for your next level, your next quantum leap. Freedom is your birthright. Now you have to transform. But understand, there's nothing more powerful than thought. Thought travels faster than the speed of light. Now, research tells us that. So what are you thinking right now? Are you thinking this dude is crazy? I'm telling you, I wish you would have knew me 18 years ago, and you would see how important thinking is. Now, you can never put your thoughts on what's missing. Here's the rule. So this is what we have to eliminate. No more thinking about what's missing. You only think about what you want. You can't put your thoughts on your current results. It is such a bad idea because your current results are based on your past. So now you're letting your past dictate your future. So we want to eliminate that. And you can't put your thoughts on your past because your past is dead. Like the great writer Wallace Waddle said, let the dead bury the dead. And this is a big one that people have a hard time with. You can't put your thoughts on what others want for you. They're not running your race. What do you want for yourself? You know, when I said have the courage to bet on yourself, that means you've got to own your want. And remind yourself, want is the prequel to what I'm creating for my life. So want creates abundance, and want is going to be so amazing when you commit to your want. Now, what I'm asking you to do is eliminate small goals, eliminate small thinking, and start trusting yourself. How do we do that? We have to have explosive thinking. Explosive thinking is you just act and you trust yourself, one moment at a time, one action at a time. But you cannot think like a consumer. You have to think like a creator. Right now you are stuck, and why your thinking sucks is you think like a consumer, not a creator. Now, let me call this out once again because I used to do it too. You consume content all day. You're watching YouTube all day. You're listening to podcasts. You're watching Instagram reels. You're going through courses, but you don't apply 90% of what you learn. Where is this hitting a chord? You just keep gathering information. I'm just going to keep being obsessed with information. That's not how change happens. You've been addicted to learning, not implementation. Creators think differently. Creators are running this world. They take what they learn and they apply it immediately and they produce results. Start executing at the level you are consuming. Imagine that. Now, let's go over that idea again. Start executing at the level you're consuming. That's when you're going to create a world-class life. Now, I want you to understand every time you let your results dictate what you're thinking, it is going to keep having you have the same thoughts over and over again. They create the same emotions, they create the same actions, they create the same result. How can we change by doing that? We've got to stop being obsessed with our old emotional state, and we've got to start being obsessed with who we want to become. Who do you really want to become? What if in 6 weeks you actually do what I'm suggesting and you only focus on your want and you had complete certainty? Imagine what your life would look like. I will tell you, I've been on both sides of this. I've struggled massively, and I've created freedom. I will tell you, freedom is a lot more fun. It is a lot more fun. And for all my entrepreneurs out there who are watching this or who want to become entrepreneurs, the beauty of being an entrepreneur is you think you're going after it for one reason, but being an entrepreneur, whatever your business idea, that's what builds you. See, I want this video to build you into possibilities. But if you're letting your results control you, this is what's going to happen. You're going to keep letting the same thinking create the same subconscious impressions that keep you in the same vibration, that cause the same actions and create the same results. You never win. I want you to win. I want you to win in the biggest way. You deserve to win. You are worthy. You have to accept your worthiness right now. But here is the key. You can't create a better life if you keep coming from the old you and letting the results control you. Thinking, hardest work in the world, but it's the most essential. You know, I'll tell you another story. I was at a seminar with my mentor, and him and I are working side by side now. And he said, Arash, I want you to get in front and tell people the biggest lesson. And we're sitting in the back talking about this, and I said, the biggest lesson I ever learned was that you can't let the results control you. And he said, it is so hard. I said, it's hard, but it's essential. And I went up on stage and I told everybody this. And I'm telling you, when you get this, that's when you're going to start living life on your terms. So what I'm asking you to do is not let your emotions distract you from doing what needs to be done. Control your emotions so your emotions do not control you. Most people are just letting their emotions control them. They're giving up all their power and letting whatever's happening in their circumstance control their emotional state. Now, I want you to look at where you are and where you want to be. I want you to put that want in your mind. Where do you want to be? There's only two things you must know to create great wealth. Where am I now and where am I going? Those are the only two things. It is so simple and so obvious. Why are so many people stuck? Because instead of thinking from the person they want to be and making decisions from that person, they are making every decision from where they currently are. I can't do it. It's not the perfect time. I don't know where to find the money. I don't know who to model. So they give up all their power and all they do is go back to their program. Understand this, 95% of your day is run by a program. And if you keep letting your program run you and you want to create different results, you're going to be frustrated. And if you haven't watched my lesson on programming, you want to watch it. You want to watch my lesson on programming. Now, let's look at this. Your program is called a paradigm. Your paradigm is a multiple habits in your subconscious mind. That's what dictates a paradigm, but you have one main paradigm, and that's what we have to change. Now, this is a black and white deal, and you want to lock in on this. It does not matter how many hours you put in. It does not matter how hard you work. It does not matter what type of person you are. If the program does not change, ultimately, the results will stay the same from one year to the next. Every year, it's like people are living the same years 50 years in a row. When paradigms stay in control, nothing changes. How do you change a paradigm? You have to think different. You've got to accept bigger ideas. And when you do that, everything changes. Now, let's look at the fourth big mistake that causes your thinking to suck. You wait for proof before you commit. I've got to believe it before I see it. Does this make sense to anyone? This is what destroys your future. You wait for a sign. You wait for someone to validate you. You wait to feel 100% certain before you move. It never works. Here's the problem. Results don't come before commitment, they come after. You're waiting to feel ready before you act, but it's the decision that creates the readiness. Are you ready to decide? I want you to type in the chat, once again, I am ready. Now, if you want to collapse time and create more in a quarter of the time, you could do that, but you have to upgrade your thinking. You have to adopt this mindset that I don't need proof, I am the proof. If one person can do it, I can do it. You will never become unstoppable until you move without guarantees. The truth is there's no guarantees. And when we go to sleep at night, we're not guaranteed to wake up. There's absolutely no guarantees, but when you bet on yourself, that's the best guarantee you can have. Now, I want you to understand your mind because you have to understand how your mind works. You have a conscious mind, you have a subconscious mind, and you have a body. Now, your subconscious mind is your powerhouse. It is constantly communicating with you in stories. As you're watching this, you're thinking a lot of stories coming up. It could be you protecting yourself. Well, he doesn't know my situation. I would love to do this, but I have responsibilities. It's going to tell you all these stories. Your conscious mind is thinking in logic, and it is always going to be thinking in questions. Now, your conscious mind is your thinking mind. It's your educated mind. It's where your intellect resides. Now, how you're look at your results. That will tell us how you're using your conscious mind because you can't get to the subconscious without the conscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind is your powerhouse. It will give you everything you want. In your whole life, you can know where your subconscious programming is currently. Now, understand this. If you believe something consciously, but you don't transfer it emotionally, it's never going to get to your subconscious mind. Now, your conscious mind, you could choose whatever idea you want. What do you really want? I want you to commit to that today. What do you want? Forget about your past. Forget about how it's going to happen. All you have to do is remind yourself, want is the prequel to everything that happens in my life. And your conscious mind, you have the ability to accept and reject. Now, if you want your thinking to 10x, if I could just get you to discipline your language and discipline accepting and rejecting from your goal, you're going to change the game. Your language is so important. Your language creates change. And so you could be super polished talking to somebody else with your language. but it's the language where nobody hears, where you're talking silently, is the language that we need to discipline. Your conscious mind, you can originate ideas. I want you to originate an enormous idea of what you really want for yourself. How do I really want to live? I want you to let yourself dream. And the best thing to do is get out a piece of paper and write out in the present tense exactly how you want to live. Exactly how you want to live. Remember, the wealth formula is always be, do, have. We have to become more, we have to take action, and you're going to have more than you could ever imagine. Now, your subconscious mind creates 96 to 98% of all your results, perceptions, and behavior. So we want to get your want deeply inside. How do we do that? By accepting and rejecting from our goal, by repetition of only thinking of what we want, by visualizing how you want to live. Because remember, if you want to get your thinking upgraded, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real or what's imagined. I want you to think what you want regardless of appearances. This is the repetition of doing that over and over and over again is going to create a life that you're going to be really proud of. Now, how do we do that? We have to make, once again, nothing happens without decision. You have to make an irrevocable, committed decision. This is what I'm doing even before you're ready. But when your want means something to you, you connect it to a why. When you have such a strong why, it's like what Jim Rohn used to say. When the why is big enough, the how will always show itself. What is your why? Why do you want to double, triple, quadruple your income? Do you want more freedom? That would be the why. But you've got to guard your mind and not let dream stealers take it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because there is no limit of what you can achieve. I promise you this. The only limit is listening to other people who are losing. I want you to put yourself in an environment with people that are winning. Now, when I say guard your mind, that means you've got to get really good at being relaxed, at accepting and rejecting ideas freely. You want to create a standard that I am only accepting and rejecting ideas that are coming from my goal. What does that mean? That means if it's in harmony with my goal, it's a yes. If it's contracting me, if it's limiting me, it's a hard no. But you want to do this automatically. Well, how do you do it automatically? Repetition. I want to give you a 30-day test, and I want you to commit to this 30-day test. Who's ready to commit to the 30-day test? I want you to put in the chat, commit. And all I want you to do for the next 30 days is bulletproof your language, both audibly and silently, and I want you to commit to accepting and rejecting ideas from your future self, from your goal. Neville Goddard is one of the best writers and teachers in the history. You know, this philosophy isn't my philosophy. This is what I've created, my specialized knowledge into teaching thousands and thousands of people how to transform their life. But Neville said, everything is a thought and it's under your control. Thought is up to you. I can't think for you. I can show you how to think. I never show you what to think. I teach you how to think. But understand, if we don't discipline ourselves, the world is going to do it for us. Right now, if you're struggling, understand the world is disciplining you. You're thinking small, you don't trust yourself, you're playing it safe, and you're wasting your life away. Now, I want you to understand your mind and thoughts must operate on the same frequency of your goal. They must operate on that frequency. What does that mean? It goes back to what we started with. You have to think like the person who's already achieved the goal. You have to feel what you would feel like you've achieved that goal. If you achieved your goal right now, would you feel excited? I want you to feel excited. Would you feel proud? I want you to feel pride. Would you feel so much juice? That's how I want you to feel. And then you've got to step out and act. Every day, take at least one action from the person you want to be. Well, that one action is going to turn into 2 and then turn into 3 on a daily basis. Do you realize it just takes 5 great hours a day to create a world-class life? I mean, that's 5 focused hours. And you're going to say, Arash, my thinking doesn't suck. My thinking is absolutely excellent. That's what I want you to tell me. Now, the last part of this lesson, and probably one of the most important, is you're thinking from the past, not from possibility. Now, is that you? Are you keep doing the same things over and over again? Well, it's being addicted to that old emotional state. It's playing it safe. You've been making decisions based on your current circumstances, your past failures, or your current bank account. And all that's doing is keeping you in this fulfilling cycle of doom and repeating the same results over and over again. And it's created so much frustration, so much plateau, and you've lost motivation. You don't create a new future by looking backwards. You create it by stepping into possibility. Your identity is your thermostat. And right now, your thoughts are setting the temperature way too low. I want you to start thinking like the version of you who's already free, who's already wealthy. How would that feel? I want you to be bold. I want you to be a player in your life. And I want that version of you to show up every day. I want you to command yourself to say, I'm going to show up like the version of me just for one day. And then tomorrow when you wake up, you say, I'm going to command myself to show up of the version of me that I really want. And you keep stacking them day by day. Here's what happens. How are results created? Results are a manifestation of our actions. Our actions are a manifestation of our thinking. So it always starts with thinking again. Now, what most people are doing, they're letting their circumstance dictate the type of actions they take, that dictates what they think, and they keep staying stuck. Why? Those darn paradigms. We have to change your programming. And why, ask yourself this, why would anyone choose ideas that produce results they don't want? Why would anybody not go all in? Have you ever wondered that? Because they're always protecting themselves from who they really want to be. Now, I want you to understand, every time you're letting the result control you, you are not thinking. Once again, the thinking sucks. And I want to be very bold with this because I have a strong stance about how important thinking is. You change your thinking, you change your life, period. And it's not just thinking. Thinking produces feelings. Feelings produces actions. Actions produce results. Now, when you let the results control you, you stop dreaming. You stop playing your life. You're just existing. You're not living. Life is meant to be experienced. There's so many wonderful things in life when you grow. So I want you to keep dreaming big. I want this video to be the video that gets you to start thinking, well, how do I really want to live? Now, when you permit your present results to control your thoughts, your income cannot improve. Are you tired of your income? Are you tired of what you're earning and knowing there's more? There's got to be more. But I promise you there is more. But you've got to change your thinking. What's the best weapon to stop letting the outside control you? Responsibility. I am the only problem and I'm the only solution in my life. Well, the best weapon is personal responsibility. When you take responsibility, everything's going to change. You know, I work with people in my 20 years of working at this in over 100 countries. The biggest mistake people make is they're liars to themselves. They're always pushing it down what's really bothering them. The more honest you can get, the more you're going to set yourself up for breakthroughs. Now, what is focus? Focus is driven by the will. The will is one of your higher faculties, and focus increases amplitude of vibration. We always attract based on what vibration you're in. Focus is a mental muscle that gets you into flow. Now, I want you right now with me to assume your success is guaranteed. I want you to have the same attitude that you do with your present results. Now I want that same attitude of what you want the most. When you do that, everything is going to work in your favor. Literally everything is going to work. But what I'm asking you to do to change your thinking, I'm asking you to change your attitude. Attitude is what creates results. What is attitude? It's our thoughts, it's our feelings, and our action. Every thought, the minute you have a thought, it gets sent out into the universe. But it's not just sent out into the universe, it is put right inside your subconscious mind at the same time. And so you're planting that idea right inside of you as you are out in the universe. The universe brings it back and you attract what's in harmony. Well, the thought creates the feeling. That feeling is put out into the universe. The universe brings it right back. And guess what? It produces the actions. And that's what creates results. Attitude is a 3-step process. You know, attitude had such a big impact on my life. I remember one day I was talking to my mentor and I said, I'm stuck. He said, why are you stuck? I said, I'm not sure. I said, I'm used to creating quantum leaps, but right now I'm not in one. And he said, Arash, let me tell you something that my mentor taught me. And if you get this, it'll change. And I said, sure, what is it? And he said, anyone could have a great attitude when things are going well. He said, the true pros in life have an even better attitude when they're going through adversity. And I remember thinking, I've got to focus on attitude. Maybe that's you. But attitude literally will change your life overnight. I went for 2 years and just was studying my attitude. And I have so many stories about it. I remember one time I had a leak in my roof and I just started laughing. You might be like, why are you laughing? Because I had such a bad attitude the day before. But I started taking responsibility and I would shift my attitude right away. And I made a commitment that I was going to master not letting results control me. Well, what happened from doing that? Everything took off. Do you ever wonder what the purpose of learning is? The purpose of learning is to create mastery. To create it as part of your beingness where you don't have to think about it. Well, I created that with my attitude. It's part of my beingness, and I want you to do the same. Your results are going to skyrocket. Now, constantly assume the feeling that you already have what you want. Remember what I said. Now, this is so important. I want you to have the same attitude that you do to your present results right now as what you want the most. When you do that, you are going to collapse time and create enormous results. Now, think and act like the person and take massive action each day. Now, massive action may overwhelm you. Take 3 action steps every day from the person who achieved it. Watch what transforms in your life. And remember, success leaves clues. Do you know anybody winning who doesn't take action? Do you know anybody winning who thinks in the gutter? Do you know anybody who wins who is not consistently out of their comfort zone? Well, that's what I mean. Success leaves clues. So all you have to do is model it. Do you know anybody who's winning who doesn't make decisions fast and change them slow, if at all? So you get to choose any idea you want. When your goal becomes an obsession, when your why is driving you, your goal will always overtake your old paradigm. And when the desire is strong, everything changes. Now, I want you to really understand our job is to think about what do we want? What do we really want? And we've got to start getting that inside of us. The repetition of being emotionally involved with our goal is going to change the game. And when you start really locking into what you want and thinking, feeling, and acting like that person, everything in your life is going to change. Remember, your desire, once it's a desire, it's a done deal. Most people don't have desires though. They just have wishes and hopes. Why? Because they don't allow themselves to think from their goal. They're constantly thinking from their current results. And what happens is they keep operating from the same old paradigm, the same old thinking that creates the same old results, and then they say they're stuck. Yeah, are they stuck? Yes. But why are they stuck? They don't have the awareness to understand. Then they've never committed to delayed gratification because your thinking has to be done with repetition over and over and over again. And there's going to be a delay before you see the results. But once you see them, they're going to come so fast. I want you to get in the spirit of your life. I want you to get in the spirit of letting it happen, not chasing success. And I want you to bulletproof your language, and I want you to fall in love with your life. I want you to fall in love with the idea. When you do that, everything changes. Now, I want to close with a few ideas for you. I want you to stay with me and think about this. How would you feel if what you want actually happened? You will have to have those feelings before it happens. I want you to understand that. Now, I want you to commit to yourself right now to start this moment and do one thing. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe you're going to email me at hello@vosscoachingco.com. Maybe you're going to create an accountability partner. I want you right now to take one action. And the moment you do this, you literally transform your idea. But it always starts with decision. And I want you to decide, because as soon as you decide and are congruent with that decision day in and day out, in 30 days, your life is going to change. It takes 90 days to create a quantum leap. And I want you to commit to grow into whatever your heart desires. Have the courage to go where you want to go. Stop giving yourself out. Stop tolerating less. and watch the magic that happens. Now, I want you to message me, and I want you to tell me what you're willing to commit to for the next 90 days. And when you do that, you watch. I'm going to be your accountability partner from afar. But just by sending it to me, it is going to change. Send it to me in the comments below. I look at every comment, and I want you to send it to me. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I will answer them. I hope you gained so much value from this. Thank you so much. Go ahead and check out my wealth roadmap. I'm going to put the link in the comments below. If you want wealth, you got to get the roadmap. This is the roadmap.